Top of the top, everybody. Today we are making some cinnamon rolls, everything from scratch. It's kind of ironic because my very first episode I did the cinnamon roll hack, and because I've been baking so much, I've been making bread. Now I feel comfortable making cinnamon rolls from scratch. So that's what we're going to do today. So ingredients, we got a lot of ingredients today. We have some flour, we have some light brown sugar, we have some salt, we have some granulated sugar, we have half a cup of melted butter, we got an egg, we have some vanilla, and we got some active dry yeast. We also have a cup of milk that has been warmed up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get busy. I'm actually very excited to make this. It's been a long time coming, and when I did that bread video and I made that bread, that opened the door up for me to do a whole bunch more with baking. So I'm very excited to do this today. But let's get busy. So the first thing that we need to do, or that you need to do if you're making this, is you need to warm up some milk. The recipe wasn't specific on if it was whole milk or 2% milk. I drink whole milk. So you warm it up to 110 to 120 degrees. So I've gone ahead and I've warmed up my milk. I'm going to go ahead and pour that in here. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour my active dry yeast. Again, this is active dry yeast, not instant. I'm going to go ahead and pour this into my bowl. The whole pack. And we are going to go ahead and let that rise. Also some sugar to activate it. So I'm going to pour this in. We'll let this rise. It'll take about 5 minutes, and then once we do that, we can continue on. All right, so we're going to go ahead and mix in our dry ingredients. I got some salt that I'm going to throw in here. And now, the recipe just calls for cinnamon. Now I'm changing things up just a little bit. I know with cinnamon roll recipes, people will put cinnamon into the dough, and I'm going to add in a little bit of cardamom to mine. I put 1/4 teaspoon in. You don't have to do that, it's optional, but I just want this to be very flavorful, so I'm adding a little bit of more spices at different parts of the recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in the cinnamon, the cardamom, and then of course I have some light brown sugar here. Now I'm just going to mix this with my hand. I'm going totally old school today. You guys know that I don't have a stand mixer, so I'm going to be up here for a little bit, for a while, stirring and mixing this dough. But it's all good because you work with what you got, and this is what I got. Right, so I want to show you guys this. The yeast has puffed up. It's not just a plain liquid anymore. It's puffed up, and that's what you want. So if your yeast does not puff up when you are making this, then that yeast is bad and you need to start over again. But now it's time to combine the rest of our ingredients. So this is my flour. My flour mixed with some spices. I'm gonna go ahead and dump this in here, all of it. I'm gonna dump in my butter. My 1 egg. And my vanilla. And because I do not have an electric mixer, I will be here mixing this probably for the next 16 minutes. Because if I had an electric mixer, it'd probably be about a good 6 to 8 minutes and the dough would be where I need it to be. But since I'm doing this by hand, it's gonna be a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and get busy on this and we'll continue on. All right, the next thing we want to do is put a little oil in here. Not a whole bunch. And we're just gonna move this oil around the whole bowl. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my dough and I'm gonna just plop this dough in here. And I'm gonna cover both sides with oil. Oh, that experience with that hand mixer. Ma, I'm tired. But yeah, so we're going to place this dough in here, and this needs to rise. So I'm gonna let this sit for an hour and a half. I'm gonna put this in my oven. The oven's not on, it's just warm in there. So I'm gonna put this in there, and then an hour and a half later, I'll come back and I'll show you guys how much it's risen, and then we'll continue on with the recipe. Okay, so while the dough is forming and rising, the next thing we need to do is we need to mix the filling part. So this is where I have added seasoning. So I have some light brown sugar, I have more cinnamon, but here I've gone ahead and I've added my cousin's spice mix. So what would be comparable to that would be allspice. If you have allspice, you can add that in. I've also gone ahead and I've added in some nutmeg. The recipe does not call for that. That's just what I'm adding. So at this point in time, I'm just gonna mix this in. I'm gonna mix these things together. All right, so our dough has risen. So I just wanna show you guys what that looks like. So the yeast did its thing. So I'm gonna plop this out. And now the fun begins. So what are we going to do here? We are going to move this because we want it to be 12 by 24. Now, my mat only goes to 20 inches, but it's okay. I'll extend it a little bit out, and I'm going to spread this out 24 inches wide, 12 inches long. Or actually, I have that reversed, but you get my drift. All right, so I'm gonna get my nerd on right now, and I'm actually gonna measure this out. So again, we want this to be 12 by 24. So this is at 13, and lengthwise we are at 20. So I'll take that. I'm good with that. It should be 12 by 24, but I'll take 13 by 20. I'm not mad at that. So the next thing that we're going to do is, I've had some butter sitting out, and what we need to do is take this butter and just spread it. Right, now that we have the butter spread everywhere, now we're gonna add our filling. And I'm just gonna sprinkle this all the way around the whole thing. All right, so our next step is to fold this over. We're gonna roll this all the way that way, but we're just gonna start off small right here. I'm gonna fold these sides. Like so. Perfect. Now, what made this simple was this mat. I don't know if things would have went so smooth if I didn't have this mat. I would highly advise you guys to get one of these mats when you're dealing with any type of dough. It's just, it makes things a whole lot easier. So the next thing that we're going to do is, I'm going to go back to being a nerd, and we're going to make little slits every 2 inches. So I'm going to make a mark right here. And the reason why we are doing that is because this is how big each one of these cinnamon rolls is going to be. So I have 2, 4, we're gonna go to the 6, gonna go to the 8, and you don't have to be as meticulous as me. You can eyeball it if you want, but I want these to come out right. This is the first time I'm doing this, and I want success, so I'm being overly cautious about everything that I do. Okay, so now that we have those slits, here's the next thing that we're going to do. We're going to take some floss, and I am going to put the floss underneath and take this off my finger, and we are going to pull it like so. And look at that, perfection. So, oh, and here's another step that I want to show you guys. Whenever you have cinnamon rolls, typically when you make them, you notice how the middle flares up, right? Well, in order to do that, you need to push it up from the bottom. So look, I'm pushing it up from the bottom, right? And I'm going to pinch the bottom down together. And I'm going to put this in my greased pan that I have here. And we're going to continue on doing this until all of these are in here. All right, y'all, so this is what we're looking like. I'm super excited. These look wonderful. So the next step is to let these rise again. So another hour needs to pass. And then once the hour passes, these should have gotten bigger and thicker. And then they'll go into the oven and we'll cook them. I'll see y'all in an hour. Alrighty, so our cinnamon rolls have hit their second rise and they've gotten bigger, as you can see. And now the fun part begins. These are going to go in the oven at 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. Now, me personally, I like my cinnamon rolls soft. I don't want them crunchy at all. So at 20 minutes, more like 19, I'm most likely going to take them out. And then I'll go ahead and do the frosting. And then I'll get to enjoy these cinnamon rolls. So I'll see you guys back in about 20 minutes. All right, y'all, well, we're on the home front. So in here, I have butter and cream cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that real quick. Gone ahead and I've mixed my butter and my cream cheese separately. And I did that because I don't want any little balls of cream cheese that haven't been mixed properly. So that was the whole reason why I did that. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my other ingredients. I got vanilla. I got my favorite ingredient. And I got some milk. And we're going to go ahead and give this a mix. And at this point, you can get it to the consistency you like. If you want it thick, then a tablespoon of milk will do for you. But if you want it a little bit more runnier, the more milk you add, the more runnier it'll be. Oh, looky here, looky here. That looks really good to me. I'm very proud of myself. Yep, and everything is cooked. All right, so at this time, we got the brownage that we want. There's browning around the edges. I'm gonna go ahead and get a spatula, and we're gonna spread over the Alright, y'all, I'm finally done. Before I dive into this beautiful cinnamon roll, I wanted to give y'all a quick word. Excuse me. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned that my very first episode was me doing the cinnamon roll hack. And as I continued honing my skills, I eventually made bread. And when I made bread, it gave me the comfortability to expand on the things that I wanted to make, which made me comfortable to make these cinnamon rolls. And in the Bible, it talks about David. I know I've mentioned David to you guys before, but King David, before he was king, he was a shepherd boy, and he was responsible for tending to the sheep. And while he was tending to the sheep, he ended up fighting a bear to protect the sheep. And after he defeated the bear, he ended up fighting a lion. After he fought the lion, as the story goes, you know he fought Goliath, and we all know what happened with Goliath. So I say all of that to say this. Everything that you are trying to do will happen in due time. You're building skills in order to get to the next phase of your career or in your life. So as you continue living life and going through things and certain obstacles come your way, you will overcome them. And when you overcome those obstacles, it'll prepare you for the next thing that you were supposed to do. David was always destined to be king, but he had to go through certain things first to get there. So I just wanted to leave y'all with that. Let's go ahead and taste this, and let's see if all of the hard work that I put in today was worth it. Off the bat, so soft, pillowy soft, very sweet. The spices that I put in, like the nutmeg, the cardamom, and my cousin's spice mix, they definitely come through. Good balance of sweetness. Very good balance of sweetness. Yeah, them spices is coming through. That nutmeg takes the cinnamon roll up here. I really enjoyed making these. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, be blessed, take care, and don't forget to say your prayers. And I'm out.